Hello everyone, it is time for a new foundation wear test and I've really been dreading this one. For this wear test, I reviewed the new Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Glow Foundation, and I'm going to come right out and say it, I really didn't care for this foundation. It's been a while since that's happened. It doesn't happen often on my channel when I review a product, and I just really don't care for it. So let's go ahead and walk through the wear test, and I will just explain to you what it is that I didn't care for about this product. Okay, so we're going to go right in with this. I purchased this in shade 1N95, so I was a little bit uncomfortable with what I thought the color match was going to be just holding the bottle up against my skin. So we're going to do a color test. Here's our consistency test. It's a very fluidy foundation. I was not anticipating that, but you can see how liquidy it is running down the back of my hand there. So for the color test, you want to take a little bit and do like a stripe right there along your jawline and blend it out as you see me doing. It actually blended out pretty much on point in terms of color match with my skin, so I was pleasantly surprised with that at least. So I decided to apply this with my foundation brush. This is the Look Fantastic foundation brush that I got in a set back around the holidays, and I've tried to find it again for you guys. I think it was a limited edition. I cannot find a comparable brush through Look Fantastic. If it ever comes up again, I will link it for you guys down below. It blended out okay. We always talk about blendability in these videos. It wasn't that it didn't blend out, but it just didn't blend out super smoothly. You can see me kind of checking it out here. I'm going to zoom in and give you guys a closer look. The coverage was sheer to medium-ish, sheer to light, really. You can see I'm showing you guys here some of the natural features on my skin, my pores, my redness, the blueness in the veins there along the lower part of my cheek. No coverage there really, even on my chin where I get a little bit of splotchiness. So when it comes to sheer to light foundations, I just don't really see the point of them. So between the fact that it didn't really blend out and it didn't really offer much coverage, I was kind of like, what am I doing? To test buildability, I decided to go in and see if I could add a little bit more on those areas where the blueness and the redness and my natural skin was just showing through a little bit too much for me to feel like it was even worth it to put the foundation on, you know what I'm saying? So I did go ahead and blend it out. It did okay, adding the second layer. It didn't clump up on itself, but I wouldn't say I really gained that much more coverage. So what you see me setting my face with here is the Dior Backstage Powder No Powder. This is a makeup setting powder by Dior. I haven't used it terribly often yet, but I went in with a smaller brush under the eyes and around my nose to really get into those nooks and crannies, and then I'm using my usual fluffy powder brush to set the rest of my face. So here is what it looks like fully applied for our first timestamp, which was 8:30 in the morning. So my first check-in was about 3 hours later, just before 11:30, and I put on a little bit more makeup, just a little bit of blush on the face. That's blush by Phase 0, but I've got my eyes done there. So zooming in so you guys can see how we're doing, it looks fine. There's nothing to pick apart really. The coverage, again, is still like sheer to light. I wouldn't say it's medium to full by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm just looking at it and I just didn't feel like it made my skin look really pretty. I feel like if you're putting foundation on, you expect it to do something to give your skin a little bit of an oomph. You know what? You guys know that I like natural sort of minimalist makeup, but I didn't feel like this gave my skin any extra pluses, if that makes sense. So I went in for the oil blot test as I usually do, and you can see I came away with quite a bit of oil at the 3 hour mark. If you watch my wear test, you know I have oily skin, and even so, at the 3 hour mark, I don't usually get that full of an oil blot sheet. So I came back just an hour and a half later at 1 o'clock, and the reason for that, I think you can kind of see it here, is I was looking and feeling really quite shiny for just having blotted at 11:30. I also started to notice the foundation doing some unattractive things. So first of all, it was starting to kind of clump up and shift on my chin, clinging to my dry bits of skin there. And I felt like it was kind of starting to sink into the pores there along my cheekbone, sort of drawing attention to that area in an unattractive way. It just wasn't really set as nicely, and for only about 4 hours of wear, I kind of thought that was ridiculous. So I went in to oil blot it again since I was feeling so shiny. And again, I came away with a ton of oil on that sheet, even though I'd just done it at 11:30. So I'm looking at it up close. I was also starting to be concerned that I was losing what little coverage I had because of the oil production and because the fact that I'd already had to oil blot my face twice. You know that some foundations that I work with, when I go in for the oil blot, it actually pulls the makeup off and not just the oil. Some foundations don't do that. So I was already super skeptical. I came back for the 3:30 check-in, which is what the original schedule was gonna be, and I was having that, I can feel my face and my finger comes away with crap on it because I'm just so oily. I felt like it was sinking into my pores at this point. It had shifted around a whole lot. The coverage just wasn't really there, and on my cheek and on my chin, when I touched my finger to my face, I came away with that like bit of oil-caked foundation. You guys know the feeling. And here again, that coverage there on the redness on my cheeks and elsewhere, I just felt like I was losing it really, really rapidly, and we were only at about 7 hours of wear. Yet another oil test, which again, I oil blot my skin whenever I do these wear tests for you guys. I just couldn't believe the amount of oil that was coming off of my face. This foundation, if it's good for folks with dry skin, it just does not work for oily skin at all. So came in one more time at 5:30. Hair is up at this point. I was getting ready to work out, and so I said, let's just check this one more time. And I'm trying to give it some credit here, just looking at it from far away. You wouldn't say, wow, her makeup looks like crap, or wow, that is really awful foundation on her. But I really try to put the feet to the fire, so to speak, with these foundations when I do the wear tests for you guys, because this is expensive makeup. This is an investment. And so up close, you can just kind of see, to me, I might as well have just worn a tinted moisturizer. I just don't really think the foundation did anything for my skin. It certainly didn't help with oil control, and I was just very, very nonplussed by the whole experience. Again, I understand that this is probably supposed to be a sheer to light coverage foundation, but it says it has a 12-hour glow, 12-hour wear, a blurring effect, 24-hour hydration. When you give me a foundation that is sheer to light coverage and you're promising me glow, I expect to put it on my face and see some sort of a change, even if the coverage isn't the change. I expect to see that blurring effect. I expect to see a little bit of a glow. When I tested the new Beauty Blender Bounce powders for you guys that said it had a radiant finish, it absolutely had a radiant finish. Other foundations and things that promise a glow or just any kind of like a blur effect, skin boosting, anything, I want to be able to see that when I put it on my face, and I just didn't see any of that with this foundation. Additionally, in terms of the oil control, oily skin versus dry skin, the reason I always hesitate to recommend the super fluidy foundations to folks with dry skin is I feel like it can cling to those dry skin patches. You guys saw on my chin a little bit in the demonstration. I had some dryness going on there. By about 3 hours, that foundation had been drawn right to that and was kind of sitting on those dry patches in a really unattractive way. Maybe I'm wrong about that. If any of you have dry skin and have tried this and you've had a different experience, please feel free to speak to each other about that in the comments. Obviously, having oily skin, I can't speak to that. That is just what I suspect. So in terms of its performance for oily skin, obviously a big thumbs down for me. I was very disappointed. I've had a couple of comments on my channel saying that foundation isn't supposed to regulate oil control, that it'll clog your pores if it does that or something along those lines. I beg to differ. I'm not saying that the foundation is supposed to stop your skin from producing oil, but the formulation of the foundation itself should be able to hold up to oil production. So maybe that's a little bit more clear in what I mean when I say controlling oil. I mean standing up to oil production if you have a lot of that. You guys, I always try to give you another foundation in the same price range that I recommend or compare this to. This is Givenchy. So this is a $49 bottle of foundation. I have done reviews on so many others at around that $50 price point that I would recommend over this. Today I'm going to recommend the new Dior Natural Nude Foundation. That is $52 per bottle, and I recently did a full wear test and review for you guys on that. I will pop the link up on the screen here, and if you're interested in going to check that out. That one is long wearing. It does do something for your skin. It does have reasonable coverage. It's just a very good overall foundation, so I highly recommend it. So that is that. I hate doing these videos. I want to be honest with you guys, but I don't like it when I get a product that I'm just so disappointed with that I'm honestly going to send this back. I used it one time to do that wear test. I never do that. I have drawers full of makeup that I have purchased and reviewed. I think this is maybe only the second time that I have been so completely disappointed in a product that I'm sending it back. So thank you for watching. I hope that you found it helpful, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.